This is Miss Hickory. Oh, are you saying hello? What a nice pony. Okay, so we're gonna go let Miss Thing run around in the arena. So this is kind of our version of like a community pool, but instead for horse people, it's an arena, which I think is even cooler.
How did she do it? Do it. Do it. Do it.
Libby. Libby. Libby.
3, 2,
Libby.
1.
It's the Libby Show.
Amanda Kate from Orange County. You're all the way in Orange County, and I'm so jealous. Welcome to the Libby Show. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to see your face. It's been a couple months, and I know there's a lot that's happened in your life, in addition to what's happening to the world, and I can't wait to hear more about it. But how are you? What have you been up to on your ranch?
Life has been crazy for all of us, right? I mean, I feel like I'm constantly repeating the same thing, and people just kind of repeat the same thing back to me because they're going through a lot of the same things. But it's been crazy. But at the same time, it's also been really a blessing kind of in disguise. You know, I've been able to really slow down and spend a lot of time. As you know, I've got my little 3-year-old, Miss Hunter Ferris. And so being able to spend time with her and really watch her every day just grow up has actually been really nice.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so you have, is it 1 or 2 kids that you have?
Just one. I don't think I can handle more than one. I've got one, but then I've got 3 fur babies. So she's got equine siblings.
Yes, and you have all of these great animals in your ranch, which we're going to tour a little bit later, and I'm very excited about it.
Yes.
So talk about home a little bit for me, and maybe some things that you appreciate about it more now, because I feel like this is something that is so a part of your brand as an artist and your influences, and I've just really enjoyed seeing like that behind the scenes of your daily life living on a ranch.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I think to everyone, when I tell people I'm from Southern California, but then they see my Instagram or they see kind of what it looks like online, they're like, it doesn't look like California at all. And so I live in a really small equestrian community. And essentially what it is it is suburban. It's like suburban horse living, someone said once. So we have, they're all like about 1-acre properties, but everybody has horses like in their backyard. I live in a community where it's a planned community, but instead of like a swimming pool or tennis courts, we have an arena and stables, which is, I think, really unique. I've never found, I mean, I have looked over like through the nation for other places like Orange Park Acres, and I can't find anywhere. And so it's a really special community. We're all like really close knit. It's up in the foothills of Orange County. So we're kind of like up, removed from like the big city life. But I love it here. I mean, I ride down the trails and I'll see my neighbors, and, you know, everybody knows my little girl and they know my horses, and it's a really special place to live for sure.
I bet. Are you originally from there? Or are you?
No. So I was born, I tell people, I'm like, it's a loaded question when people ask where you're from, because I'm like, now I'm in California, but I was born near Palm Springs, and I must have been like 3 or 4. We moved to New Mexico. So I was raised for the most part in the northern part of New Mexico. And then we moved back to California when I was in high school. So I feel like I've like from a little bit of everywhere. I think my love for country music definitely was developed in New Mexico for sure. You know, that's everything that everyone listened to. You know, my mom, that's literally all I remember having in the car and at home. And so that's where my love for country music, you know, started. But then when I moved back to California, we were, you know, I was in high school. And so we've lived here, but after high school, I ended up moving to, we moved to Nashville. And then I moved back home, and then I moved to Texas, and then I moved back home. And now I'm in Orange County, but who knows? In the next couple of years, I might be back in Nashville, you know?
I would love that. I wouldn't hate it at all. New Mexico, real fast. So what area were you born in? Because I have to tell you, this photo behind me is from the high road to Taos.
So, okay, where we lived it was Red River,
Okay.
which is an hour north of Taos. So, yeah, my dad, my dad growing up lived in Taos pretty much like my whole life. Like that's where he was until he lives in Albuquerque now. But yeah, it's about an hour north of there. It's northern. So if you've been in northern New Mexico, you know how beautiful it is.
Oh my gosh. Like that was probably one of the most calming experiences I've ever had in my life. My mom's side is from Taos.
Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah, Taos, and I have such an appreciation for New Mexico now that I'm older. When I was younger, I couldn't wait to get out. I felt like I got to get out of this small town, And then now that all I talk about is I just want to go back to New Mexico. I want to go back to Red River. I want to go see my friends. And Taos especially is like a very spiritual place. Like I don't know what it is about it, but I know everyone that I've talked to that has been there and experienced like just being there, like you can feel it. There's just an energy about it.
And so I went there with my mom, actually. This was a couple years ago, and I 100% remember that feeling and just the appreciation for architecture and tradition. Like one of my dreams is to have an adobe house in the middle of the sage desert in in New Mexico. Like I'd be all about that.
So, and it's like when I moved to California, I remember one, I'd never even been on an escalator or in a mall till I was like 14 or 15, like that was just not something they have there in northern New Mexico. So when I came to California, it was such a culture shock because all I had seen was adobe houses, and like they don't have like craftsman style homes or anything like that. Everything is like adobe. And so it was when I go back, it's like it's so sentimental when I like get to see it. And we drive, when you do the drive, if you've driven there, obviously, like when you come into Taos, it's a special place for sure.
Whole different place. Like I want to retreat here during this quarantine for sure. So I want to talk more about your influences because you mentioned, your love for country music. And so I want to know more specifically where that came from and a couple different artists and legends that you look up to and continue to look up to.
Yep. I always tell people that, my biggest influence is my mom. She's the one who started writing music for me at a young age. She was the one that ultimately, kind of guided me and helped develop my voice. And so, but as far as artists, Wynonna Judd was probably the female artist that I grew up listening to because my mom was a huge Judds fan. And so I started listening to Wynonna Judd. I've always been a Faith Hill fan because I love the soulfulness of her voice that she mixes in with country. And then as far as like male, George Strait, along with every other country artist. But I've always loved the fact that like he's not the showman that, that people I think expect from this giant country legend. Like he can stand up there with a guitar and sing just a really beautiful country song and your jaw like drops to the floor. Like I've always loved that about his ability to really just have an entire audience captivated by him and a guitar, and lyrics. And so, which is why, we decided we did the cover of Someone Had to Teach You, which was so exciting. And I love singing that song. I love when I get to sing it, and new country fans that are more into the pop country, they're not familiar with it, so they're like, what is that song? And I get to kind of introduce it to some of the younger fans. So it's been special.
I feel like it's one of his deep cuts. But when I heard it, I immediately knew which song it was. And I gotta say, the artwork's awesome. And your cover is just so great. And you did such a great job. And I feel like you're so good at picking, like when you do covers, you pick the ones that's just like, oh yeah, that's Amanda. But you put your own spin on it. So why that song in particular?
So I love like Texas swing, like that style of country is not, it's something that like people really aren't doing anymore. And I get it. It's not something that radio will play. But to me, like growing up, that's the kind of style of music. And my mom, I mean, she wrote a Texas swing style song for my album, Velvet Leather Tough, had that feel. And that's really where, even the inspiration for that song came from, just Texas swing, like that, like someone had to teach you. And so when the band, when we were playing out, we were playing that song, and I kind of had the idea, and the music director, I just asked him, I was like, I feel like I want to cover this song, and he was all about it. He's like, let's do it, which I was a little scared because I've done George Strait covers just for like YouTube and stuff, and had kind of a mixed response. Like people are very like, you don't touch King George.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? Who cares? I'm just going to do it. I love it. And if I'm the only person that loves it, it's fine. I'm still going to put it out.
Well, I love it. So it gets a thumbs up and a 5-star from me. So as a fan of George Strait, what do you enjoy most about, okay, let's say you're at a George Strait concert. What about that experience do you love the most as a fan?
I don't know. He's so authentic. Like there's something about him that I don't know. You feel like the person that you see on stage, like when he's talking about his songs, when he's singing, like that's who he is. There's not different sides of him, and I think Garth has, he's such a showman, and he puts on this incredible show. But there's like the icon and the artist, and then there's like who he is like personally. But when you see George, like he's so warm and authentic and just genuine. And so I've always loved that about him, because you feel like you really are, even if he didn't write the song, I mean, the way that he sings it with such conviction, you can't help but believe every word that he says, and so that's always what I've loved about any artist, is just authenticity.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, for you, lyrics that are believable is something that's very important to you.
Yeah.
So first I want to talk about one of your songs, and as it relates to that characteristic, Gypsy.
Yes.
Where did that sense of wanting to just go and to travel and to experience life at the fullest, where did that come from?
So back to my mama, we moved by the time I was 16, I had moved like 36 times. Like we had moved all over, and not in a sense, and not in like a negative way. I think people sometimes hear that and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I don't look back on it as like a negative. It was just, my mom had this free spirit, and she just wanted to get up and go. She'd be in a place for too long and she'd just get the itch to move. And which is why we wrote that lyric, like I get the itch to move wherever I go. And I definitely inherited that, where I have this, I don't know, I want to experience new things. I want to meet new people. And there's a little bit of a thrill about moving that I love. Some people can't stand it. They hate the idea of getting up and going. But for me, I've always like loved it. And so the song Gypsy, I really wanted to have something that was about my life, but a little bit about my mom too. But have it be fun and have it be something where people can relate to it. And I've had a ton of, messages from people that are like, that song, that's me. That's like, I can't stand still. I have to like constantly be moving. And so it was really fun. It was fun to write. And I still, I love getting to sing it.
And I feel like it's a song that even if you don't like to, be on the move all the time, it helps you escape. So I think that that's something, again, where it's like the believable lyric, and it allows, anybody that's listening that enjoys your music to really identify with what you're trying to say. So in terms of being a musician, artist, that's a songwriter, that's traveling, what has that love of being able to experience new things, how has that helped you in your career thus far? So like being in California, but then, having the flexibility to come to Nashville and, collaborate here, or just your enjoyment of being able to share your music in different places around the nation.
So like I said, I lived in Nashville. It was like over like 9 years ago, I guess now. Which gosh, I can't believe like time has gone by that fast. But I've loved the fact, like, I love that experience. Some people I think they move, if you're on, a Broadway artist, you move to New York. I feel like if you're a country artist, you got to go to Nashville. You have to experience that. And when I left Nashville, to be completely honest, like I really thought that chapter of my life was possibly closed and that I was to move on and, to do other things. And as I just feel like fate would have it, the powers that be, and God's like, no, you're going to keep going after, what you love, and doors have opened. And I feel so thankful that I'm able to even do this. But yeah, I think, I love to share music. I love to be able to go to Nashville and Dallas and New Mexico but stay planted here. My family's here. My little girl is here. My husband's here. But yeah, I think having that gypsy soul, and now with, gosh, I can get to Nashville in just like half a day. I can jump on a plane and be there. And I have friends all over the place, which is amazing. I feel like at any point, no matter where I land, I could call someone and be like, I'm going to be in town. Can we hang out? Can we write? And so it's been really cool.
Have you been able to catch up with these different friends over the quarantine, either whether that's like FaceTime or a Zoom or?
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of like the Zoom other than like things like this where, interviews and stuff. But I think through Instagram, I feel like I know what everybody's doing. I know that sounds bad, but you kind of,
it's kind of, yeah.
You see what everyone's up to. And then we here in California has been really shut down. So to hang out with like friends can't really do that too much. But then for me, like all my neighbors who are a lot of my friends, we all ride horses. So by default, when you ride, you're already 6 feet apart. So we've been able to still continue to, like, that part of my life has not changed at all, which has been really great.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone watching, just pick up horse riding lessons, and you can now hang out with your friends in the future.
No matter how long this quarantine goes.
I know, right? And so going off of that, I want to talk more about your mom and about the influences she's had on your new album. And so first, share more about the title of this album and what kind of message you want to convey through, the mark that your mom left on the world.
Yeah. So when we started this album, like, it was never actually meant to be, like, I never thought at the time. I was singing with a local band. We were playing, a ton of shows, but covers, and I was doing a tribute show, the Carrie Underwood tribute, and that was fine. Like, that's where I was like, this is what I have for me, and that's fine. I'm not going to be doing original music. But then when my mom got sick and we knew that it was terminal, we knew that, like, her time was going to be short, I was like, man, there is so much, we had so much work that we have done together, and this body of, like, art and music, that I was like, I really wish I want to capture it. Like, I wish I had an album of our work together. And so I had this idea, and I kind of went to the producers and I was like, listen, I don't know what this is going to cost. I don't know if this is even possible, but can I do an album? And I want to do it of all of my mom's songs, like the songs that we've written together. And I want to call the album Time, because of the fact that I knew, like, we were short on time to complete it. And my time with her was short, and it was something that I wanted her to enjoy. I wanted her to be part of it. I wanted her to be at the CD release party. But even then, I really had no idea what it was going to turn into. I didn't think that it was going to be something that people, I was like, I don't know if people are going to like it, because the style, it was traditional. It wasn't what everyone was putting out. But I knew that for me and my heart and what I wanted for my mom, like, it was perfect. And so we went to Nashville. We did the whole album in like a day. The band cut it, and then we came home and I did my vocals here, and then we put it out, and it was just to this day, I'm like, I know that people, that first album, I think always like holds a special place. But for me, I'm like, I think that no matter what I put out, that will always be the most special piece of art that I've ever been part of, because of the fact that the songs lyrically are so personal to me. And then the fact that my mom was able, like, I'll never forget seeing her in the audience as I was singing them. And she came on stage with me at the CD release party and played a song with me. And so it's just, it's something that's really special. And the fact that other people have identified with it, and there's something about a musician and as an artist and a singer, when you put something out and you're heard and you're seen and people enjoy it, it's like it's the best feeling. That's why we do this, is to connect with others and hope that the music touches them in some way.
Yeah. I feel like your perspective of loss is just, it's so beautiful, and I feel like it gives people hope that there's a way to celebrate somebody in so many different ways, and using your creativity, using your music to honor her, I just think is really, really great. So, and it's encouraged me, in different ways.
My mom always said, like, one of the lines in the songs, The Package, which she wrote actually like 10 years ago with me, when I was living in Nashville, it says, like, baby girl, don't give up, keep your eyes above. And at the time when I wrote it, it was just a lyric to a song. And now it's crazy how 10 years later, like, that lyric speaks to me, so deeply and so personally. And so I always think, like, although she's not here with me anymore, there's so much of her in me, and I have to keep going. I have to keep being a piece of her. And she was such a light in this world that I'm like, I want to carry that on, and, wherever it'll take me.
Is there something that, that's maybe quirky or just kind of funny about her that maybe you've seen in yourself during this time that you maybe picked up on that you didn't know you shared with her?
So growing up, she would constantly talk to strangers. Like, she loved talking to people. And I think that was part of her, like, her ministry. Like, she felt that she was put on this earth to just minister to people, like, that were hurting. So whether they were, people, and a lot of times she would talk to people that I'd be like, Mom, like, don't go up to that guy. Oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? And she'd be like, no, like, I feel like the Lord wants me to talk to him. So she would go up to people and just start talking to them and, like, listen to their story. And some of them would tell her, like, their life story. And some of them would be like, I'm homeless. I've lost my job. I'm going through a divorce. I mean, the craziest things. But people just were drawn to her in, like, such a magnetic way, and were able to completely let their guard down. And now, being older, I love looking back on those memories, because I'm like, she was just such a beautiful human. And now I start to notice, like, my husband is like, what are you doing? Like, I'll just start conversations with people, where growing up I was so embarrassed by her that she did that. But now, I don't know, I'll see people. I like to be friends with everyone. So it's kind of a quirky thing that growing up, I never thought I'd be that person, because I was, like, more shy. And now I love meeting new people, and I love talking to the people, and I'm going to be that mom that embarrasses my daughter, because she's going to be like, don't talk to everybody. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk to everybody.
They like, listen, I'm about to write a song from this conversation. So, like, makes me a storyteller. 1,000%. And I do have to mention the music video that you did for the song Healing When I Ride, which is, again, about your mom, is stunning. It showcases your ranch, and I just feel like it's another one of those projects where it's like you are meant to create this video and honor her through that. So talk about the process of creating this video, who produced it, and just the creative process.
So that video, I had the idea for it, like, right away. When we were writing the song, I was like, this is the one that visually, there's certain songs that when you write them, the imagery is just right there, and it comes so easily. And that was one of them. I mean, the story of it, the minute we recorded it, was like, I could see the video in my head. And so I started talking to my brother. Actually, two of my brothers are in the film industry, and that's kind of what they do. And so I'm very fortunate when it comes to that. And I just kind of talked to him about my vision, and he ended up having some friends, a film crew and a production company out of Denver. blurred pictures, and they flew out. We had all these conference calls about kind of the storyboard and what we were going to do. And we shot that whole thing in one day.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was crazy. We started at, I think, like 6 in the morning. And we had kind of everyone, ready to go, the cameras and the crew. And we just started at one location and just like moved along throughout the day. And as you know, I mean, when you're shooting stuff, especially with animals, it can go
Either way. Well, with horses.
yeah. And so that day it was, I was like, oh, my horses, especially because I knew I wanted my mom in the video. But at the time she was in the middle of treatment. And so she was really sick. And so I was like, I don't even know if she's going to feel up to riding, but I wanted this video to be, about her and to be kind of something that we always remembered her by. And so the horses, we saddled them all up. We got them into the arena, and it was so awesome. It was like they knew. They were like, okay, like the cameras, the lights, like nothing like bothered them, which for one of my horses is very unusual. She normally is scared of her own shadow. And so, but they were all just so well behaved. And that day, just down to like, there's shots in it. Like there's a shot of these birds that like fly up in the air, and that moment, like it just happened. The clouds, like the way that the clouds looked in the video, it just, everything. I couldn't have asked for a better day, and everything worked out exactly how I wanted. And there's literally nothing about it that I would have changed. And the fact that we did it all in one day, and I did it with a crew that was it was an intimate crew. They totally knew where I was coming from and my heart, and they captured everything so beautifully. I'm really proud of it.
You should be.
It's awesome. People can check it out on YouTube, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, everywhere. You're actually going to perform that song shortly. But first I want to talk about the new collaboration you just did with Marty Raybon for the Old Rugged Cross.
Yes.
Talk about that and why that hymn is special to you and how that collaboration came to be.
Mm-hmm. So originally I had wanted to release that song around Easter. So pre-COVID, everything. I had that was the first hymn that my mom ever taught me. It was the first hymn that I ever sang, in church in front of a large audience. And I've always loved this song. It's like, I think certain people, Carrie Underwood with, How Great Thou Art. She always says that was just the hymn that like was close to her, and it just hit home all the time. And for me, the Old Rugged Cross was the one that just every time I sang it, I loved every single word of the song. I loved seeing what it did to other people as they were hearing it. And there's something about when you're singing about the Lord, it's kind of this out of body, experience, because it's not about me. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally singing for someone else, and to give the glory to someone, not me. It's all about the Lord. And so I wanted to do this song, and I had told Arnie, he's a man, he kind of helps with management and music direction. I was like, I would really love to do it as a duet, and he used to play with Shenandoah, and so I was like, do you think Marty would do this song with me? I was like, I don't know him, and I'm nobody, and I know he's like country music royalty, but I love his voice. You know what I mean? Like growing up, when you hear Marty Raybon's voice, it is so country. It's incredible. And so he ended up calling Marty and asking him, and Marty was so sweet and was like, absolutely, I would love to do it. And so we had all these plans to record it and then release it before Easter, and then COVID happened. And then I was kind of at this weird crossroads where I didn't know if we should release it or should I hold it for next year. But then with everything that's been happening, I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna just put it out. I know it's like timing wise, it's a song that is very cherished and sang a lot at Easter, but I was like, no, I'm gonna release it now. I love it. And then we just, we went to Nashville, and we ended up kind of cutting it in unusual circumstances. Everyone was in masks and in other rooms and 6 feet apart. And, Marty and I think were the two we had to sing together, because it was it was a duet. And so we were in the booth, and it was such a special experience. And I'm super happy that it's out, and the people are finally getting to hear it.
Yes. Well, I love it, and I cannot wait for people to hear it either, because I think what I find to be such a common thread between creatives and artists, you know, whoever you are, whatever you're creating during this time, is people are suddenly just not afraid to just put out the things that mean the most to them, and they're not thinking about, oh, well, it needs to be on this Friday because of this other release. Like, people aren't thinking too hard. It's just like, this feels like people need to hear it because said reason, fill in the blank, whatever need they feel like their audience is looking for. And I just think that's been probably the coolest and probably one of the most uplifting parts of this season that we're all.
No, absolutely. To be able to, you know, as an artist, and you get so caught up in like things that at the end of the day don't matter, you know, and in this, we're not promised tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm just going to put out music. If it means something to me, then great. If somebody likes it, even better. If they don't, that's okay. I'm going to keep doing me, and, you know, and see what happens.
Well, Amanda, this has been such a pleasure, and I've loved getting to catch up. Now you're going to be playing one of your latest singles, Healing When I Ride, off your new album, Time. Take it away.
Yep.
Pack my lunch, a blanket and a tea. I'll be riding when the sun comes up. Get away when life gets tough. Pour my heart out. He listens, things I've never ever told. The only time I'm connected, he's a mirror of my soul. And I ride slow and easy, smell of pine in the air takes the edge off the crazy. Don't give a damn if people care. Take my time doing nothing, the rhythm of his stride. I find peace on his back, and there's healing when I ride. Across the river there's a bluer sky. The mountain calls my name, the warrior in me trying to survive. But for now, oh, I just wanna fade. He calms my fears, oh, he's gentle, reminds me of my strength. And I ride slow and easy, smell of pine in the air takes the edge off the crazy. Don't give a damn if people care. Take my time doing nothing, the rhythm of his stride. I find peace on his back, and there's healing when I ride forever free. You give so much to me. Some don't understand, they'll never see the why. I'll be happy in the saddle when I die. And I ride slow and easy, smell of pine in the air takes the edge off the crazy. Don't give a damn
Love it. Oh, so good. I love having this here in the acoustic version. This is so extra special.
It's been actually kind of nice to, because of the Zooms, to be able to play a lot of the songs, more stripped down, and
In their raw state.
they take on a whole new life when you put the production behind them. But it's really nice to be able to kind of strip it back down and to sing them how they're written.
That's awesome, Amanda. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Libby. Bye.
It's the Libby Show. The Libby Show. It's the Libby Show. It's the Libby Show.